Hey, welcome to Road Testament. I'm Mike Spinelli. I'm here with JF Musial.
Hi, Mike.
Hi, JF. What's your name again?
JF.
JF.
2 letters. It's kind of hard.
Hard to mess up 2 letters. Today on Road Testament, we are going to be talking about onboard cameras, stuff that you've seen on YouTube, also known as point of view.
Point of view onboard cameras, yeah.
Yes, but first, remember to hit us up on @Drive. That's our new Twitter handle. It used to be @DriveTV. Now it's @Drive. Don't worry if you're already signed up because it'll get you there.
Exactly.
Anyway, so point of view cams.
So
GoPros,
GoPros, Contours, Replay XDs, all these small cameras. It's a huge market.
All the kids are doing it.
It's a gigantic market, in fact, now. Where it's not just cars. We're talking about it from the car's perspective, automotive perspective, but it's also BMX riders, motocross riders, and people who just want to screw around with their friends.
You're not talking about porn.
No, well, no, not yet.
But perhaps action porn is the
who
next.
Who knows what that industry will bring us?
Action porn is the next.
But anyway, this is you and a 1M at Monticello, right? Right. You just what was it? GoPro?
It was just a GoPro thrown on the roof.
And it's an interesting concept of you're just filming yourself going around the track. You're no pro. We can all admit that.
Thank you very much. We can admit that.
But
yes.
It's cool to show your friends and to point things out that they may have not noticed while they're on the track.
Exactly. It's like just like a golfer checks out his swing. I can check out how well or ill I'm going around this racetrack. So it helps out a lot. But also, it's a gigantic thing on YouTube.
Yep.
People are putting all kinds of stuff on, and people are searching for it like mad.
Yeah, so you've got, this is a very interesting subject with YouTube. Actually, YouTube was in Time Magazine 2 weeks ago. So for every 1 second of real time, there's an hour of footage uploaded to YouTube.
That is amazing.
It's insane about how much footage, and this is becoming the reason for that. This is the reason why there's so much footage. People just put themselves out there, so much footage, just putting it up there.
And it's like millions and millions and millions of search hits, right?
Yeah.
And when you search on
onboard camera, 458, whatever it may be, yeah.
So let's take a look today at the history of how this happened. I mean, in the old days, people used to just strap a camera on a car in some very awkward ways. Yeah. So, or a motorcycle.
They still kind of do that with the big cameras. What makes the Contours and the GoPros so different is they're so light and versatile that can be put anywhere.
Right, but in the old days, they weren't so light and versatile. Yeah. And let's take a look at a couple of ways they used to do it. So, camera strapped on the back of a motorcycle. This is 1934 around. Los Angeles, they were covering a bicycle race.
Yep.
And actually, the bicycles crashed and wiped this guy out and wiped out the camera.
They still kind of do this too with the Tour de France.
Exactly.
And
things like that, even up until a few years ago, and probably, if you watch the marathons in the cities, they still follow them on camera bikes. But in the old days, they used to the riders would then shoot the footage and then run around the corner to the studio and drop off the film for processing.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, so the motorcycles were actually helped out because they would get there fast.
Cool.
So
what's next?
What's next? We got 1952 Catalina Grand Prix.
Oh, that's so cool.
Sidecar. Probably a little bit easier.
Out of their mind.
But out of their minds. These guys, because they were
because you're holding onto the camera and then you realize, oh crap, the camera's not actually attached to anything.
Right. So I mean, psycho guy on the right with the camera. Also,
next
we've got the Grand Prix, the movie, basically the movie that set the pick for all the next generation of car movies. Did these shots, now Ian, go back 1 second. This is a Ford F40, and that's the Panavision camera. And that's how they kept up with the Grand Prix cars.
It's
John
insane.
Frankenheimer, the director on that.
And they just kind of had to guess where in frame you had to be. Like today, when we shoot car to car, I've got a small HDMI monitor that I can watch to see what the camera's getting. This, they kind of just locked it down and said, okay.
That's true, yeah. If you go to the next one, they also had Cobras.
This is for Grand Prix.
For the movie Grand Prix. That's John Frankenheimer right there.
Wow.
I think these are 289 Cobras, but still, I mean, look at that setup.
Awesome.
GoPro back then.
And let's be clear, that's at least 20 to 30 pounds of weight on the extended off the back of the car.
True.
So that's pretty complex.
Exactly. Next. All right. So this is
the actual shot. So this is a rig shot off the front of the Grand GP car.
Right.
And I guess they figured the angle of the banking and then align that before they even went on the banking to get the shot.
Exactly, because the point of view of the camera is the same angle as the banking, right?
So
that
cool.
kind of stuff they figured out. This shot looks like it's been doctored a little bit. But,
a little bit. You get the concept.
Yeah. So,
and this is video, not still. This is video.
Exactly. If you go to the next one, this is actually a Lotus camera car that Steve McQueen was working on a movie called what was it, Day of the Champion, right? He wanted to do a Grand Prix movie before Grand Prix.
Really?
So they were setting this up, Day of the Champion. I should have read it right off of that. So, MGM, they found out that Frankenheimer was doing the Grand Prix, and they scuttled the production of this thing. So this would have been, might have been just as cool.
Next.
Go to the next one. So then we get to the 70s.
This is Rendezvous.
Right. C'était un rendezvous.
So a lot of people assume that Rendezvous, the famous race across Paris, was from, well, it dubbed in a Ferrari 275 GTB soundtrack.
Yes.
But it wasn't actually a Ferrari. It was a Mercedes 6.9.
It was a 6.9 Mercedes 450.
With a gyroscoped camera up front, on the front, with director Claude Lelouch driving up front.
So there's Lelouch right there, and this is the camera setup he's got.
Awesome. Awesome.
It is pretty awesome.
I love
if you
the rope is really helpful right there.
Yeah, the rope is really just holding everything on. No, I don't. It's a hell of a rig though that he had to come up with. Again, a GoPro. You slap 6 of them on the hood.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So that's the original history. The helmet cam was the next development, right? So all of a sudden, you could get. Instead of carrying all the pack
gear,
stuff, all the gear. Oh, look at that! That's Jackie Stewart. I forgot this was in there. He's got that's just a 35 millimeter, right? So he's shooting stills. But that's him.
That's awesome.
I
love the 35 millimeter camera. North. I don't know. I can't read that.
Something. But that's the original 35 millimeter helmet camera.
Very cool.
And then if you go to the next one, there's that's Gary Nixon, motorcycle racer Gary Nixon.
Do we have another shot of him driving?
On any Sunday. Wait a minute, look at this is the setup that they came up with this movie.
So I guess that's the battery pack, and it balances each other out on your neck. So if you do crash, you really are going to tear your neck off.
Yeah, that's the thing. This was dangerous, right? Bruce Brown's movie, basically you have to watch on any Sunday anyway. It's an epic motorcycle movie.
Cool.
We go to the next one. This is him actually riding with the
Think about the amount of weight on your neck while you're doing that. You've got the G-loads with the helmet already, which is something that has always been a problem with drivers or riders, and then you add another 5 to 10 pounds. You're just insane.
Exactly.
Insane.
I think that's it. Oh no! Wait a minute. No, because then Gary Schultz. This is the first. So when Sony introduced the first one-chip camera, Gary Schultz put one on his helmet and did some mountain biking.
It's cool.
Also BMX stuff. But this was the early days of video where he had to carry the pack on his back.
Yeah.
So this was before the one piece.
Well, today we have. Let's be clear. You can use everything from HVXs, which we use on cameras on cars, which are only 6 or 7 pounds. That's what we shoot with.
Right.
To 70s, Canon 70s, D7000s, which are the SLR cameras.
Right.
They're getting much smaller, of course, where you've interchangeable lenses, and then this is all it is.
Then you got the contour.
This is a contour.
Yeah. So let's take a look. Well, we can't really take a look because we're going to...
For copyright reasons, we can't actually show you footage of Rendezvous or any of the other ones, but we're going to put links at the end of the episode to actually let you click on them. They'll be annotated. You can click on them. But for example, Chris Harris later today is going to be having the GT FT Sign FRS 86, whatever you want to call it. He's going to be driving it in Spain, and he only got 20 minutes with the car.
Right.
So what does he do? He puts as many cameras on the car as possible.
Yeah.
And he has a very cool shot that he did with I think it was a GoPro on the back of the rear tire drifting. There was one very cool shot. I realized it, and we were talking about this before, but I forgot I had this. I shot Audi TTRS, and I risked my 7D, my Canon 7D. I put it 1 inch from the ground on the rear tire, at speed, so you can actually see the tire, the rubber movement off the rim in turn.
That's cool.
So,
it's interesting you should mention.
Shots you can never get ever before.
Because Chris did in his video, and you'll see it, he did a suspension cam shot.
Yeah.
So he puts the camera under, you could see the,
it's
the
like
compression and the, you know, of the...
It's technically attached to the body, but because it's below the body, you actually see the travel.
You see the compression and rebound, and is it, I think it's V8 supercars, right?
Yeah.
So in Australia, if you watch V8 supercars, they have a fantastic suspension shot that they do all the time while you're watching, right, during the live races. And it's amazing. It's sort of hypnotizing. We just see this, you could see and when the tire comes completely off, it's amazing.
What I want to know is what race series like Formula One, they're doing privately. Right now, they're testing in Spain, right?
Right.
They're testing the 2012 cars. Obviously, they get huge amounts of data, but they're still using some old-fashioned techniques like paint to test aero. So I'm always curious as to whether if there's a camera somewhere in that car during test days to see if they're looking at certain objects or certain materials or certain components to actually see what they're doing as that sensors can't pick up, right? Well, let's go through the cameras that are actually available on the market right now. You've got a list. So Contour is what we use, and I'll be very blunt with you. We're not sponsored by Contour. I've paid for these. These are not given to us. But out of all the ones I've used, I'd have to say Contours are the best right now, especially the Contour Plus with the, you can actually get microphone inputs and change lenses.
Are they hard to, I've always had trouble focusing because it's got two laser beams instead of
well, this one doesn't have, the old ones have the laser beams to get the level right.
Cool. So how do you do it with this one?
This one you just kind of have to eye, but you can move the lens to be upwards of 270 degrees in any direction. And this is all you have, and then you can mount these anywhere, suspension components, whatever it may be. GoPros, a lot of people use them. I don't like the way that they're kind of distorted and they've got some vibration issues. But GoPros have been known to go to space and fall back down and completely work perfectly fine.
That's true.
Replay XDs, I just had a shoot with them recently. Those are good as well, much smaller than all of these. What else do you have on that list?
Those were the only ones, but do you know what else is cool? Is that now you can get attachments that will stream the video from a camera like this right to an IP address or a live stream.
Do not give away our competitive advantage right now because we know people are watching.
That's true. Well, we're going to do something really cool with that eventually.
Yes, we are. For a certain race in the future.
Yeah. So you could actually do on a small scale, cheap.
This could be live streaming to the internet as is.
Well, in a very cheap,
with a small box.
In a very cheap way, you could do what a production company does for a regular race.
That's what makes this all different. Is that these types of devices are taking over the industry. Car manufacturers and car series, racing series would have to pay hundreds, if not millions of dollars to get the content broadcast live, microwave.
Well, you had to build equipment
exactly. A few years ago, we were asked to research a concept of broadcasting live from a race car during a Grand Am race. We ended up just doing it through Wi-Fi. Before any of this technology was available, we had a MacBook in a Pelican case inside of a GT3 Cup car, broadcasting to the web.
Right.
It's a huge setup, cooling issues. It took a lot of testing and development that we worked on for quite a few days. We did several testing sessions.
That was like 2 years ago.
That was 3 years ago. Yeah. And this is what we now have.
I know, it's amazing.
And that was thousands of dollars of prototype building.
Some of them are GPS.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Enabled stuff. I mean, it's cool stuff.
So and I can't wait to see what comes out in 3 years.
Me neither. But so tell us what your favorite in-car point of view videos are. I know which mine are. We're going to put them up. Let us know. We'll put them up with ours too. And hit us up at oh, that's old.
Nope, it's okay. At Drive. At Drive.
At Drive.
It's your fault.
My fault. No, I meant that. It's at Drive.
At Drive.
So we could do that. Cool. See ya. Road test.